One thing that's really crazy is how impossible it becomes to speak about something you can normally talk about for hours by simply pressing play on a camera. You stumble over your words and say idiotic things out of nowhere, and it's just very frustrating. So, just like to say to all the people who make these videos and make it look so easy, it's easier to watch them than it is to make them, that's for sure. So, anyway, I've been putting off making a video for a while now regarding the Middle East because I just continue to grow more and more frustrated by what I'm seeing, and I don't like to make videos when I'm upset. And so, I think it should go without saying, but I guess in today's world you have to say it, that I do not support murder. I do not support even trespassing, whether it's on somebody's property or their physical body or their person or any of that. I don't support violence. I don't support theft. I don't support Hamas. I don't support the IDF. I don't support war. I don't support hate. I don't support bigotry. I don't support any of that. So really what I'm talking about here today isn't so much about conflict between men and women as much as it is international government conflict that's being artificially manipulated. And so I don't like to speak in terms that would be considered derogatory by anybody with regard to their nationality or what borders they were born into or what color their skin is. I think it's disgusting. I think all men and women in the world should be treated with dignity, and children, and respect, period. I don't care where you were born or any of that other stuff. It makes no difference to me. And so I obviously do not support Hamas attacking the Israelis. And I also don't support this response by Israel to go murder people that had nothing to do with the attack. That's literally satanic to do such a thing. If Israel wanted Hamas, now understand, they've been funding Hamas themselves for years. They know who Hamas is. Hamas is essentially the prison guard for the Palestinian people in Gaza that works for Israel. I mean, essentially that's what it is. And so I don't think anybody should be surprised by the fact that when Israel was warned in advance of the attack by two different governments that it was coming, that, why didn't they do anything to warn people or prepare for it? And why, when they knew it was coming, was there no response for 6 hours while these people were being murdered? I mean, that should be enough right there to tell you this is a false flag operation. This is the same thing our government's done for centuries now. I mean, honestly, it never stops. It's all lies. All of it, lies. And one way you know for a fact that this is a lie is what's going on with the neighboring countries. The media is telling us that all of the Arab nations in the Middle East are bloody mad at Israel for their treatment of these Palestinian people. And I don't believe that for 1 second. I don't think they care anything at all about the Palestinian people. And I think that's just all about drumming up war, pretend war between nations, when the truth is the governments behind the scenes are all good buddies for their own personal reasons. If the Arab nations in the Middle East cared at all about the Palestinian people in truth, they could very easily allow them to leave their internment camps and come into their nations and find relief. These people have been prisoners of war for generations now. And they're stuck there in depraved poverty. It's disgusting. It really is. The duty of care between a prison guard and a prisoner is pretty self-explanatory. You know, if you're going to hold somebody prisoner, you need to take care of them. Israel is doing nothing to take care of these people. And quite frankly, because we give them more money than I could ever even imagine every year, and then they take that money and use it to fund Hamas themselves, then that's us who's funding Hamas. While in the media they're talking about how Iran's funding Hamas. This is all lies. Media lies. You know, they're talking all over the internet about protecting the people from, you know, misinformation and disinformation. And that's the only thing that the media offers is lies. They immediately came out and said that Hamas had decapitated 40 babies. And it was just a blatant lie. They even acknowledged it later. But it doesn't matter that they acknowledged that later because the damage was done. They had incited trauma-based mind control to everybody who heard that in the world. Everybody loves babies. So for them to retract that later was irrelevant. The damage was done, and they knew it, and they don't care about protecting the truth at all. The only thing they're there to protect is that, God forbid, someone like me says the truth that opposes their lie. Then they'll call that misinformation and, you know, censor it. That's how that works. Anytime, if you're not sure about the truth about something, just see if it's being censored, because if it is, then it's the truth. There's no need for them to censor their own lies. So, yeah, they could just open up the borders around West Bank and Gaza and then allow the prisoners of war, even if it's just temporarily, put them in tents across the border where they're protected, and open things up so that Israel can just go in. They could walk right in to Gaza and kill all of the Hamas people, you know, murder their own rogue prison guards. And so then that's the problem solved. They don't even have to kill, they don't have to level Gaza. They don't have to kill tens of thousands of innocent people. And 50% of the people who live in Gaza are children. And so while the media is talking about tying Palestinian to Hamas, that is a lie. The Palestinians just want to live. They just want to not be murdered. That's what they want. And Hamas coming into Palestine is, I don't know, it's like a Republican or Democrat coming into your state and cramming down your throat what you're going to, you know, accept. These people don't have any say-so. And the first thing after Hamas originally got elected, you know, that Israel backed to confront the PLO back in the day, then after they got in office, they just shut down elections and said, well, we're in charge now, so don't worry about any more elections. So the Palestinian people are not supporting Hamas. The Palestinian people are the prisoners, and Hamas is the prison guards, and Israel owns the joint. Well, they stole the joint with American military and British military, and they just went in and took this property. They haven't been there for a very, very, very long time. And then suddenly the Rothschilds and the British government established this Israeli, this Jewish state. If God wants the Hebrews, the Jews, however you want to refer to that, to live in that land, he is absolutely capable of bringing them home. And if he does that, then more power to him. I'll stand there and cheer it. But for us to go in and remove people who've been there for many, 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 many generations, much longer than we've been in America, and give it to somebody else is wrong and sinful and a trespass and a theft, and we murdered people to do it, and we're still murdering people. We've never stopped murdering people. That's what government does. The war is not between the people. The war is not between the everyday citizens who moved to Israel because they were brainwashed into thinking it was something that it wasn't and got stuck there and sucked into their programs. You know, it's not against them and the Palestinians. It's not against black and white. It's not against Mexicans and Texans. It's not against any of that. It never is. It's only government against its slaves, the people who live in the borders that they claim. They're slaves. That's what we are. That's why we all have our slave numbers. It's government against us. And so long as they keep us divided and hating one another, we're never going to just lock arms and take care of government. Government is always going to take care of us because they keep us divided like this. Evidently, there were 50 Israeli hostages offered up by Palestine to return to Israel in exchange for gas, and they were denied. Israel did not want their 50 citizens back in exchange for gas. This gas was needed because Israel has cut off all the electricity, all the water, all the gas, food supplies, everything. It's a siege. And there's hospitals that need electricity, so they have generators, but those generators don't run without gas. And there's people in those hospitals who are on ventilators, who are on life support machines, who are on dialysis machines. There's babies in incubators, and all that stuff turns off as soon as they run out of fuel. And those people are going to die. So it wasn't like it was for Hamas. These people on the ventilator, that's not Hamas. That's just people like us, you and me. And they're going to die because Israel wouldn't trade some gas to keep them alive for 50 of their own people. That is disgusting. I practically live in Palestine myself. Here in Texas, it's right up the street from here. We call it Palestine, but same thing. So, like, I thought about that. What if, some group of madmen, whether they were hired by the government or not, in Palestine went around and started murdering a bunch of people. Just left, right, and center, random people, babies, adults, burning them, killing them, shooting them, cutting them up, whatever. Bunch of people. And so then the National Guard comes in and seals off the area and says, we got to get a handle on this. And so they put, let's just say, Palestine and surrounding under siege here in Texas. Okay, well, so what are we going to do then? Are we going to locate the people responsible for the death and mayhem and murder and take them out? Or are we just going to kill everybody? Just kill them all. Doesn't matter. It was Texans who did the killing. It's Texans who are going to die. And at least 100 times the number that they took. We don't care if they had anything to do with it or not. That's not the point. Texas is going to pay. That's idiotic on its face, and to support that is idiotic. I don't care what your preacher told you about God's country. That preacher is already going to hell anyway because he's lying to you. And so for you to follow him and support that and give him your tithes and just behave like heathen Satanists is shocking, and it's sad, and it literally breaks my heart. Because all of the people that I love are Christians. All of my family, all of my neighbors, all of them, and I love them. And I also love Jesus. And I have a very difficult time calling myself a Christian anymore because I'm not accepted in any of the Christian churches because I can see that Paul is obviously a false apostle. And his teachings are obviously Antichrist. And he is obviously the Antichrist figure of the New Testament. And we were obviously supposed to be able to discern that, but we can't. And so we've turned our entire faith into nonsense, and it breaks my heart. But to think that it's okay to support what's going on in Jesus' name, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's a lie. That is not okay. No, please stop it. Isn't it enough that they take care of the wicked people who pulled off the attack and then try to treat everybody else with decency and kindness? Is that too much to ask? We can't just be hating people just because government told us that we should. That's literally insane. So yeah, we get all here in Palestine, and we get the area surrounded, and then what if the government just decides to respond by randomly bombing everybody? Just doesn't matter. Schools, hospitals, blah blah, doesn't matter. Apartment complexes. People by the thousands in Gaza are being murdered right now. Right now, there's living children that have concrete blocks on top of them who are starving, who are hungry, who are thirsty, and nobody's coming to help them. And so what I do support is I support praying for these people on both sides of the border, for all of them, because they're being turned against each other by the most wicked, hateful people on earth. And we need to stop hating one another and start looking out for one another, because it's only going to come from us. There's nobody else coming in to do it. And I feel like they're going to turn this into an international conflict, because I think they've been wanting to, do this for a very long time. I believe absolutely nothing that the TV tells me or that my government tells me. They are historically proving nonstop liars. Lie, 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 lie. If I just randomly picked 1,000 news stories and said, I'm going to believe these are all 100% lies, maybe I'm wrong on one of them. Maybe it was only 999 stories were lie and one of them was true. Well, I'm better off that way. It's better off just to assume they are lying to you. So I think we should all pray for all of these people. And for one another, because the chickens are going to come home to roost here in America. They've made that clear, and when it happens, it'll be our own government who brought it on. So that's, I guess, about all I've got to say for today. Thanks for listening.